But I want to say that I am honored and pleased to introduce to you and to welcome to the campus of Marshall University, Denis and Jean Wiesenburg. Please come up. Before I turn the microphone over to Denis, I have to comment that I'm falling in love with the Southern Mississippi University. The more I see of that school and their team, the more I'm impressed. Anyway, please welcome Denis Wiesenburg. Please.
Well, thank you, and I'd like to say when I was provost at the University of Southern Mississippi, athletics was not under me, so but I'm a big sports fan, and I would love to transition my allegiance to a university that has a much better football team than the one we've been watching the last few years. So I prepared about an hour speech for tonight, but since many of you are standing, I'll probably abbreviate that a bit. But I would like to thank the search committee for inviting me to interview for the position here, and thank all of you for taking time to come out to visit with us tonight. And Jean and I are really enjoying our visit to Huntington. And I would just like to say it's really an honor to be considered for the next presidency, as the next president of Marshall University. You know, Marshall is a university that's made tremendous progress in the last decade under the leadership of President Kopp and interim President Gary White, and so it's an attractive position for any candidate. You'll meet two others I'm sure are well qualified for this position. One of whom, Jerry Gilbert, will be here tomorrow, who I know very well. Thank you. And but it's really an honor to be among those considered for the position, because Marshall is really an outstanding comprehensive university that's made tremendous strides. And if I were the president of Marshall, what I would do is to try to build on the progress that you've made over the last decade to continue the momentum forward toward the promise of a brighter future. And of those of you who have been around a while realize those were the words that President Kopp used when he was announced as president. His theme was the promise of a brighter future, and you've certainly moved forward tremendously since then, and I would try to build on that momentum with all the energy that I had. I do want to take just a minute to introduce myself and answer the question, why would an oceanographer want to come to West Virginia? Because it was asked by the search firm, it was asked today earlier, and I know that you may be interested in that. First, I was born in Pascagoula, Mississippi, an industrial city about half the size of Huntington. That's on the Gulf Coast. And I went to a Catholic school for elementary school, and then I went to a public high school. My mother was an English teacher, an elementary school teacher, and then a high school English teacher. My father was a lawyer, so we've enjoyed spending time with Leighton today to hear his stories. And you know, he also, my dad served in the Army in World War II, and he served 2 terms in the state legislature. So in growing up in our family, we understood the value of education, the value of patriotism, and also the value of public service. Sports was really important in our family, as it is at Marshall. And although I don't look like it today, I used to run track in high school. And I know that's hard for some people to believe, but we were a football family, and my dad used to take us to junior high football games on Friday night, high school on junior high Thursday, high school Friday, and college games on Saturday. And as a teenager in Baton Rouge at Tiger Stadium, watching Ole Miss play LSU, that's an experience a teenager will never forget, I assure you. I learned some words then early on that I probably shouldn't have known. So anyway, I had an opportunity to go to Duke University and get a degree in chemistry, so I have a chemistry background. And when I was at Duke, I took an oceanography course from a geology faculty member named Orrin Pilkey. And Orrin Pilkey led my life in a different direction. And I decided to pursue oceanography and apply my chemistry to study the oceans. And that's really why we're in universities, why we do what we do, is because at a university you can change someone's life. And that's why I enjoy being part of higher education. And Orrin Pilkey changed my life from that of a laboratory chemist to a seagoing oceanographer. I went on to get a master's degree at Old Dominion University a long time ago, and that's when Gene and I met at Old Dominion. And then I received a PhD in oceanography from Texas A&M, and then worked for the U.S. Navy for 7 years as a research oceanographer. So now we get to the point why would an oceanographer want to come to Marshall? So as an oceanographer, I spent over a year at sea on research cruises collecting oceanographic data. Some of these were week cruises up to 2 months long. And when you're an oceanographer, you learn several things. One of them is teamwork. You have to put together a team of scientists, researchers, engineers, technicians to go out on a ship to collect ocean data. So putting the right team together is important. You also learn organizational skills. You're going out on a research cruise and spending over $1 million collecting data. It's got to be well planned and well executed with the right people. And if you have an instrument that uses batteries and the batteries go dead, there's no place to buy batteries in the middle of the ocean, so you have to have good organizational skills. You also learn relationship building. And when you go out on a 180-foot boat for 30 days with 30 people, you have to get really good at getting along with people and building relationships, because there's only one place to eat and one place to sleep, and there's not a lot of privacy, so you learn to get along with people and to build relationships. And over the years, the people I've sailed with, we're still close to this day. And then finally, you learn about leadership. And I've been the chief scientist on cruises in the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. And on those cruises, I've been responsible for everything from the science to the logistics to the safety of the scientific party, and even dealing with sexual harassment issues, which normally you don't get to do. And you never want to do, but you have to do as part of what you do on a ship. And what we generally ask of our leaders is to answer the question, what are we going to do? And that question was asked to me by the captain of a research vessel in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Algeria, as we were looking out at an Algerian missile boat that was really unhappy that we were collecting data and samples near the coast of Algeria. And so the president, the captain of the ship said, what are we going to do? And fortunately, I had the right answer, or I wouldn't be standing here today. And that answer was, we're going to get out of here and come back later. And so, I tell you this because, even though my field is oceanography, I've been an academic administrator for 21 years. And so I've had leadership of academic departments. I was a dean in Alaska for 6 years at the University of Alaska, Fairbanks, and then as vice president for research and provost for the last 5 years at the University of Southern Mississippi. And having been at a school like Southern Miss, which has so many similarities to Marshall, Conference USA, same student body size, about the same faculty size, the endowment is about the same, and many other similarities. I faced many of the problems and seen the opportunities that you have, and I faced them in a state with limited resources. So I have a pretty good feel for what you're trying to do and the challenges you're faced in doing it. And that's the background that I would bring to the presidency here at Marshall University. And in looking at Marshall, and I told this to the search committee when I met with them in Charlotte, the more I looked at the university, the more impressed I was, because I saw in most areas they're doing all the right things. I said, well, they need to work on student success. Well, there's a student success initiative underway. They need to work on recruiting foreign students. There's a foreign student initiative to increase the number of foreign students at Marshall. So everywhere I looked and said, I wonder if they're doing this, the answer was, yes, they're doing it very well. And so I see a professionally run university that has the promise for a bright future, and I would be honored to be the president that helps move it forward. Thank you.